A lot of the world has pretty similar animal species, but when you go over to Australia, it's been isolated for so long that actually makes it to where it doesn't follow the same pattern that the rest of the world does.
Typically, we're looking for places of unique biological interest, and so, of course, both the geology of Australia is very, very interesting, and we had some geology and geography students along who was very interested in that.
Just these focused academic programs, I think, are just so unique in that you're out of the classroom setting, and in a lot of cases it's a little bit more informal, and you kind of just get to experience nature firsthand, and everything was just a definite yes for me. I'm so totally into that. Yeah, it was just kind of strange just leaving on a Monday and getting on there a Wednesday. It just kind of makes you a little cranky, just like, okay, well, there goes one day of my life. But when you get there, it's really kind of hard to really imagine yourself being in Australia. You kind of have to keep pinching yourself, saying, oh wow, I'm here, I mean, I think it has to be the Sydney Opera House, because I think that's just one of the major icons you think about when you go into Australia. So just walking around, we saw that right away, and I think that was kind of one of the major things for me.
The first time I really noticed that we were in Australia is when I saw Tim turn around, and I thought he was in the driver's seat, but he was really in the passenger seat of the taxi. And I kind of freaked out for a second, like, who's driving? And then I realized that the driver is on the other side. So that was the first time I really, it sunk in that I was in Australia.
One minute you're on the subway, next thing you know, we're walking into the entrance of a national park. Culture shock isn't the right word, it's like a bioshock, I guess, I don't know. Just because we don't have anything like that.
Because we stayed on the eastern seaboard, I was hoping we could compare and contrast the forests and the landforms that we were seeing in the Sydney area, and then in Brisbane, about halfway up the coast, and then in Cairns, which is up really in the tropics. And so we went to Cronulla, the Royal National Park, a great, beautiful coastal region. And then the third day we went up into the Blue Mountains, visited a place called Red Hand Cave, where there was some Aboriginal artwork in this small alcove. Just walking through those forests is so different from what we're used to. There isn't anything really recognizable when you walk through, and that to me is just fantastic, to be in something completely new and different.
So there are a lot of Proteaceae flowers in bloom, which were the big red flowers that were in bloom over there. And I was pretty interested because it's wintertime, and I didn't expect to see those flowers in bloom during winter.
I mean, I think I preferred Red Hand's Cave. Just to be able to walk just like in the middle of the winter in a rainforest like that is something completely different.
Lamington National Park, where we traveled outside of Brisbane, was a place recommended by this colleague of mine, and oddly enough did not see a koala in the wild, which was a bit of a disappointment. We ended up having to go to a rehab center to see koala, but they're funny animals. They're not quite as obvious as one might think, and so we went on a night walk there, saw this great funnel web spider that's very venomous and everyone is afraid of, but yeah, just a kind of an interesting area.
I mean, we had a 20-kilometer hike, and we saw 4 waterfalls. Some of them we were able to get up close to. One of them was a little bit further off in the distance, and we had a really great overlook to get a view of that. At the end of our hike, I mean, we didn't see too much wildlife along the way, but we did see pattymillen.
And then the third leg of our trip was we flew up to Cairns in northern Queensland and went up to a boat tour on the Daintree River to see these saltwater crocodiles. We went with a local guide who'd been guiding tours on the Daintree for about 30 some years, named Bruce Belcher. You know, the saltwater crocodiles are really their bread and butter, but he's a birder and was really good with the birds, pointed out a lot of things that we otherwise would not have seen. Birds' nests and stuff that looked like globs of debris hanging in the trees. And that was really a nice tour. It was a great boat ride, and these local guides are really hard to beat because I know the basics about where the places we're going, but these guys have details that really add to the experience for everyone. And then we stayed at a lodge overnight, really a birding lodge, but a place that offered evening walks with a very knowledgeable local guide, and went down and did a Dreamtime walk with Aboriginal guide in Daintree, which was very interesting to talk to him and find out a little bit about the way they lived in the forests.
That's all you need to do. You lost your voice, you can't sing it anymore, and I will find you. Okay, let's buy this.
Yura Balaji, Wanja Badunga, Yura Badunga, Yundo Bayan, Yundo Bobo, Yambagari, Nayo Bayan, Nayo Yalan Jebama, Boboga. Hello. Hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome here to this special place. Welcome to this very spiritual place.
Our Dreamtime walk was pretty interesting just because there's so many parallels between the US and Australia with their, native people and how they've treated and, what's happening with them. So it was really interesting to go and get an Aboriginal perspective on the country. We hadn't really gotten that while we were there, so that was interesting. And we saw an echidna, so 50% of the world's monotremes we have now seen.
And then the last day, we always go to the beach on the last day, so we spent the day out snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef, which I think for many people was really the highlight of the trip, and we had an incredible spot that we snorkeled.
It was just an amazing trip. So Cairns was my favorite part of the trip. I don't know why you wouldn't go.
Thank you, Dr. Nearing. So just briefly, I just want to mention how lucky I am to have the scholarship. It's been giving me so much opportunity over the years. I was able to go to Costa Rica last year, and the year before that, we kind of had a tour around Colorado and was able to look at some kind of geological sites. And so I thought this was just a great opportunity to be a part of this trip as well.
The Porter Scholars Program is a scholarship that was donated to Adams State by William Porter. So he gave a donation to the school for science and math majors, so that's really where we got the funding from this trip.
It's just a great opportunity and a great scholarship to allow you to do things that you would never do otherwise. I think because it is such a smaller campus, you're a lot more competitive to get a scholarship like this. And I think that's kind of why I was able to get accepted for the scholarship. And I was quite surprised to be able to have this sort of funding and get my school paid for and things like that. And I think it's what kept me here at Adams State and just really helped with my education overall. Well, I'm really interested in pursuing a career in medicine. Visiting any foreign country, especially one that adopts a universal healthcare system, and that's kind of what the U.S. is trying to do with the Affordable Care Act. I just think it's kind of great to have that as a background, and I think just as part of growing up, and I think traveling will actually do that for you. Is you're in a different environment that's kind of foreign to you, and you need to figure things out about yourself.
I think going to a new country helps you in your degree no matter what it is. Going to a new place changes your perspective and forces you to look at things from a different viewpoint and forces you to maybe change some of the misconceptions or preconceived notions you had about a place.